Well, I'd like to welcome everybody back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to build a stained glass leaded hanging planter for succulents. We're going to use artificial succulents. They're these little guys right here. This little package here is from Amazon. We're going to build some little pockets for these to sit in, and we'll fill it with some artificial grass. So we should be an interesting project. This project's going to require 1 square foot of glass. We're going to build this project with this particular piece of glass right here. It's a kind of a brown wispy with some cream colored in it. I've got it marked with some lines and some arrow points here. This shows the direction of the grain, so I want to keep it all going, running the same way. So this is like we did on some of our other projects. This one here is going to be another cut and stack idea where we're just going to cut it and let it go wherever it goes. We don't really care if it grows, if it gets a little bit bigger, because it's not going to have to fit into anything. So to get started with, we're just going to make a single line here. But before we do that, I want to welcome everybody to the channel. Hopefully you've subscribed. If you haven't, please do. You can look at all of my videos if you go in the search bar and just type in Bill Stone Stained Glass Creations. And when you click on that, my photo will come up. Just click on the photo and you'll get all of them in one place. That way you don't have to search around for the different projects. I think there's about 33 videos under, maybe 34. So we have all kinds of interesting projects that you might want to work with. So anyway, to get started here, I've got, like I did in some of the other videos, I've got kind of a little drawing here. This is in my mind what we're going to do. We're going to have it run a single 3-inch wide strip of glass, which will be the main body for this project. And then we'll mount our little pockets on the face of that. So to get started, to draw this, we're just going to start here. We'll start with a baseline right here at the bottom. And we'll just go with a straight baseline right here. And since I'm going to use 3-inch wide, I happen to have a ruler that's 3 inches wide, so I'm going to kind of cheat here, and I'm just going to set it in here. And I'm just going to draw this. I don't know exactly where this is going to go height-wise, so we'll just draw it out like that. That'll be basically what we're going to do with the face of it. And every 2 inches here, I'm going to cut it. So we're going to go 2, 2, 2, and 2. So this gives 1, 2, 3, 4. Need one more, I think. Actually, we need 2 more, 6. I'm going to make this last one like 2.5 because I want to let it stick above. This will be the end of the project right there. So these will give me a place where we're going to mount the pockets. So we just draw those across there like this. Here again, you don't need a pattern for this because this is going to be really easy to do. We're going to cut all of these pieces. I'll bring my cutting board over and we'll cut a few of these to show you how we're going to do this. All right. Put this back in here and get this line all the way to the top. Are we running off the top? Not quite. We're okay. I'll bring this back down. Right here, we're going to put a hanger. So we'll put our hanger here. We're going to use the same hanger that we've done on all of our projects, the ones with the 3/32 cotter pin. So it'll come through here, and the leg of the cotter pin will go back underneath here, and it'll go back underneath here. We'll show you that when we get ready to put that hanger on it as we go along. So on these marks here, that's where our pockets are going to sit, and so our flowers will be planted in these pockets. I know this is a little hard to see right now, but they'll sit on an angle at a 45-degree angle. And so to do that, let's come back over here and we'll take it and we'll make us another. This time we'll do a side to make the side of this come up here. I better push this up here, better get it straight. bring it in here. Just push it over here like this. Okay, so this one here is going to be this side view right here. So now we're going to make our triangles come off of here. And here again, we'll measure this. We'll do this in 2-inch segments to match this. So we'll mark this off. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and this one here is 12. So from there, we're going to stagger them. Every other one's going to be from one side to the other. So, okay, so on the bottom here, this is going to be our first, this will be our first pocket. Here's where I want to start right here. So we'll have one right here. It'll start here. Then we'll come up here, and then we're going to go here. One here, one here, one here, here, there we go. And then this will finish off at our top right here. Right there. Okay, so now we'll take, and I'll take our T-square right here and we'll put it in here and we'll create our 45. So we're going to use a 45-degree angle right here. Push this up here so it's kind of where you guys can see what we're doing. And we're going to start right here at the bottom. And we're going to come up right here with our triangle up. I'm going to move this over here. I have a triangle up. I'm staggering this so we'll have room for the flowers to go in here. Up. Here again, like I said, these numbers are just something that I've kind of dreamed up in my head. You can go ahead and create your own numbers and make your own size to do this. Maybe you don't want this many pockets. Maybe you just want to put maybe just 2 pockets in here. We're still okay in the camera? Yeah, okay. Goes up here like that. Okay, now I'm going to make these, I think about an inch and 5/8 I think will be a good width. So let's come over here 1 inch and 5/8. Come over here on this side 1 inch and 5/8. I'm just going to run my ruler up here. I'm going to mark these right here. One here. That one there didn't go quite long enough. One here. And we'll have to sneak this in here to get that last one here. All right. So now our pockets are going to be like right here. Should have drawn that just a little bit. Goes up there like that. And this is going to go here like this. Okay, that's our first pocket. We'll erase these lines here. We don't need those. This one here, we want to get this one in here. I'm going to go right here. Here again, this one here is going to go down here. That one there is pretty good, so it did pretty good by itself. We'll go right here. This one here is not quite long enough. So here again, like I said, we're not going to make a pattern for this because these are just going to be all square cuts. The triangles will cut a 1 5/8 inch square, and then we'll cut it right from point to point to create the triangle here. that one there, and the last one's right here. So to get this a little unconfused here, we're going to erase some of these marks here that we don't need. We don't need this one here. We don't need this one. And here again, like we did in the other flower project, I'm just going to show you the drawing here, but we're not going to build on it. We're just going to build on the board. And like I said, this is kind of a cut and stack idea. So wherever it goes, we don't really care. So there's our project right here. So our flowers will sit down in here on an angle like this. This is going to be 3 inches wide. If you can visualize this, this would be kind of going off like this. One of our pockets would be going off here like this to create the 3-inch space out here. So anyway, we'll be back in a minute. We'll set up a form to make this center section here, and we'll also use this center section to make these, which is going to, the face of these will be going out here like this. And then they'll have another triangle on the back side of them to fit on top of here. So this will make more sense when we get ready to go with the project. So I'll go offline. We'll get ready to set up to make us a form here, and we'll come on back on. We'll cut some glass, and then we'll go from there. So we'll be back in a second. Okay, we're back where we got our form wood now here, and we've got our little wire brads. So to set this up, what we're going to do, I'm going to use a carpenter square right here. This is one I've had for years. I'm going to set this in here like this. I think I'll do it this way so everybody can see what we're doing here. And the first thing we're going to put down, we'll put down this small one here. This will be our starting area, and we'll build up from that. So I'm building on top of a homozoite board. It's got a 3/4 inch plywood base underneath it. So we're going to use what they call push pins in here instead of the horseshoe nails. So if you watch any of my other videos, you'll be pretty familiar with that. So we're just going to take these nails. These are 1 inch long. They'll go through the homozoite board into the plywood. Going to hold that down nice and tight right against here. Just put a couple nails in here is all. We don't need a whole bunch. Then our first up piece, we're just going to sit and set in here just like this. Make sure it's up against the square all the way here. And we're going to tack it down. So this form right here we'll be using to build our base glass. This will be what we're going to hang our pockets on. Oop. Okay, now, since I said we're not going to make a pattern or anything else, this one here needs to go out here somewhere, but we don't know exactly where we're going to put it yet. So I'll show you what we're going to do. I'll bring my cutting board over, and I'll just move this out of the way. So this is just a board that I've made over the years. It's got a 90-degree angle on it right here. Just got a straight edge right here. And what we're going to do, we're going to use this 3-inch ruler here. So I said we're going to make this 3 inches wide. Well, we're going to actually make it 3 inches plus whatever the cutter adds to it. And so the cutter now, remember on the cutter, the edges of the cutter add about a 1/16 to it wherever the wheel is. So really, in all reality, this is going to be 3 inches plus a 1/16. So we're going to set this in here like this. Make sure it's pushed up real good. We're going to start here at the top or at the bottom, doesn't make a difference. We're going to take and score that. We're going to take it out. We're going to just take and break it or snap it. And now what we're going to do with that, we're going to take our board away. We're going to take a piece of lead cane. Let me grab a couple here. All right, here they are. Lead cam. If you're not familiar with lead cam, I notice a lot of the viewers have been doing mostly all copper foil. I prefer the lead. I like it gives a nice clean edge, and you don't have to fool around trying to get a nice solder bead. But some projects require copper foil, like real small flowers, any kind of things with real small pieces. You're going to have to use a copper foil process. Leaded now, you can do it for all kinds of different projects, and you'll notice that probably about 90% of the projects we've done on my channel are all leaded glass, although there is 3 or 4 that are copper foil. So if you're not familiar with the lead, let's take a look at it real quick. We're going to use 2 different sizes. Well, actually, we're going to use 3 different sizes or pieces of lead here. This first one here is what they call a U-came. It makes the letter U. And this is RU70. And across the top here, the width of it, this is considered the width right here. This is across the face of it. And this is the channel in here. So the channel itself is 5/32 of an inch. The face, which is this part right here, is 3/32 of an inch, and the width of it is 7/32 of an inch. So that gives you an idea on that one. So that's RU70. That'll go around the outside of this project. Around the outside of all of our triangles and our faceplate for our pocket, we're going to use RU90. This is a real little one. Okay, across the face here now is only 1/8 of an inch. The channel is 1/8 of an inch. And across the width is 7/32 also. So that's RU90. So it's quite small. The reason we're going to use this small one is I don't want to put 2 of these big pieces together on the project because it'll make it look kind of bulky. This will give you a better look with the smaller piece here. That's why we're doing it. And the last piece we're going to use is called H-came. This is HR90, makes the letter H. The R stands for the rounded edge. And here again, we have a channel width right here. This is 3/16 in the channel that's in this area right here on both sides. You have a face width here, which is 5/32 across the top here. And then you have the width of it, and it's 9/32 this way. It's just a little over 1/4 of an inch. So that shows you a little bit about the lead. All of these lead products, I get them from the local glass supply house. They're made by a company called Cascade Metals. If you want to find out about lead came, go on their website. They've got a really good website. It shows you all the different size cames and all the different types of things that you can make with them. So anyway, to figure out where this piece here is going to go, what we're going to do, we're going to take a piece of lead. This will be our U-came. We're going to set it in here. We're just going to take our glass. We're going to set it in here like this. And then we're going to take the second piece in here. Set it in here. Bring it down. And then this piece here is going to sit in here like that. And we'll bring our square back in here. And we'll push this up against it right like that. Now we're going to push it up against it, but we're not going to pinch this in here. We want this to be able to move in and out of here, because when we cut this into pieces now, we want to be able to slide them down inside here. So we're going to pull that up and just pull it up and just let it kiss it right here. You could use your pins here if you wanted to, or we can tack it down. We'll go ahead and tack this down. We'll just use like 3 small brads here to tack this down. Check it once in a while, make sure it's still going to slide in and out here for you. Okay, so that'll give us our base plate to get started with. Our hanger is going to go right here at the top. And this will take and slide out of here now. And if we cut the glass right, this should slide all the way out of there. Just like that. So that'll be the base plate for our pockets. Our pockets will run across here and they'll be on a 45 as we stack them up here. So the other part of the form that we need is we need some way to make our little 45s. And what we're going to do with that, we'll just move over here a little bit. Let's move this up so everybody can see what we're doing here. Because this is kind of critical. This is the most critical part of the whole project right here, is this guy right here. Turn this around so we got some room to work with here. There we go. Okay, now we're back on track. Pull this in here. Want that right, lined up right there. So this one here will go in here like this to create our triangle. Okay, and we'll get a couple more little brads here, put that down. We're taking now I've left these kind of short because when we put the triangle in here, we're going to run some cane up here, and then we're going to run all the way across the top so that we can finish this off so it comes out to match where we're going to put it onto our base glass here. Put that right there. Okay, so these are the two components we need for the project. We're going to build one strip right here, 3 inches wide, by 12.5 long. We're going to cut it into segments, in 2-inch segments, all the way up to the top until we get to the top one, and it's going to be 2.5, and we'll have our hanger on it right here. So anyway, I'll bring the cut board back over, and we'll cut some of these out, and then we'll get ready to put them in here. So I'll be back in 1 second here. Let me grab that again. Okay, here we go. We've got it back. Now here again, I said this is going to be a simple project. The triangles are going to be the most confusing or the hardest ones to make, but the rest of this is going to be quite easy. So we'll take this like this, and we'll take our glass now, and we're going to just set it in here. Let's move this up here so you can see what we're doing. Going to set that in there like that. Now I'm going to take a couple rulers. Here again, because it's a cut and stack, we don't care if we keep adding onto it. Both of these are 1 inch wide. So I'm going to set one in here. Going to set one in here. This is a plastic ruler, so it works good with my glass cutter. I'm just going to take and cut it right here. Pull that apart. You can take and snap it apart. Move it forward here. And we'll just keep cutting these into 2-inch. Because I'm making the end one longer, we'll have to cut another strip of 3-inch wide to get that last one out. And I want to make it longer because I don't want the pocket to end right at the top where the hanger's at. I want the hanger to be a little above that. Now, if you're a little squirmish about snapping the glass like that, they make a product called running pliers. Probably everybody has seen them or have them. And the running pliers look like this. They have a concave front here, and you put this little line right here, right on your score mark. And what you do, you just give it a little pressure and it snaps it for you. So I know some people don't like to snap it by hand, and that's fine. So let's bring this big piece in here again. We'll get our big ruler here, and we'll take our cutter and we'll just come down here. Here again, we can snap that by hand, or if you want to, you can take your running pliers, line it up on the line, and take and snap it right there. Now this one here, we said it's going to be 2.5 inches. So if you watch any of my other videos, you notice I have all kinds of little things that I use for jigs. This is an angle aluminum, 3/4 inches across the top here, 1/2 inch here. So we're going to add 1/2 inch to this project on this top one. So we're going to put that there. There's 1.5 inches. That creates 2.5. And this will be the top. Pull it along there. And there we go. So now out of our 12-inch square piece of glass, we got all of this left. We can probably get all of our triangles out of this one piece right here, along with this little piece left over here. So we'll get set up and do that, and we'll show you how we're going to do those. So we'll move the cutting board out of the way. And what we'll do now is we'll take our lead cane, we'll put it back in here, and we'll start to fill this up. So I'll be back in a second and get the lead cane out. All right, we're back. We've got all our lead cut now for our project, and we got all our pieces. We've numbered them here, so we'll keep them all in order so that they'll stack up on our project. So our first thing we're going to do on our U-cane, you notice I've cut this on a 45-degree angle. So we'll set that in here like this. And then across the bottom, this is also on a 45. So they'll fit in here together like this. This gives you the start of our project. Then our first piece will come up here to the top, and we'll insert it in the U-cane. And we'll take and we'll slide it down inside here. Now on the H-cane here, I took a little look at the video we shot before when we were talking about the cane, and for some reason, I don't know why I did that, but I called this RH90. This is RH9, not 90. So if you're looking for this, please remember this is RH9, and the R stands for the rounded edge. H stands for the type of lead it is, and the 9 stands for how wide the channel is here. So remember, this is RH9, not 90. So it's going to go in here like this. We'll stick the second one in here like this. Comes down. Tap them in here, make sure they're up all the way. When you cut your lead here, make sure you get some nice joints right here. You don't want them to be sloppy. If they have too much gap in them here, they make it harder for you to solder them. So try to get them as close as you can when you're cutting them. Push that down nice and tight. Get our angles in here. Make sure they're all fitting in here tight. You don't want to have any wobble in your H-cane here. Okay, now when we get to the top here, it's going to kind of interesting right here. What we're going to do, because the hanger is going to be here, and the hanger is going to hold the weight of all this project. If I just put this in here and then put the H came across the U came across the top. I'm sorry, the U came across the top here. Over time, the U-cane may start to pull away from the edge of the glass, and you'll get a kind of a bow in here. So what we're going to do, we're going to take this one here and we're going to cut it in half, and we're going to run a piece of H-cane from here down to here, just as a little bit of a insurance policy to create a little bit of a stronger bond. So we'll measure this one here. I'll go offline real quick and I'll cut this right down the middle here, and then I'll grind it back just enough to let the lead slide inside of it, and then we'll come back and put it in here. And I think what I'm going to do is move the camera down so we can get closer to it so you can see exactly what we're going to do on the hanger. So I'll be back in just a minute. All right, well, we're back. We got our two pieces cut in half here now, so they'll slide down in here. But I've also taken a couple of pieces of U-cane here. This is going to be for the top of it, and I've taken and put a couple notches in them. This is where our hanger is going to come through right here. And if you've watched any of my other videos, there's a couple ways to do this. One is to do it this way. The other way is to drill a small hole in here, push the cotter pin through, and then spread it out. But this is the easier of the two ways. So we're going to take our cotter pin here. Like here again, if you watch my other videos, you'll see how I do this. I'm going to take and insert my long nose pliers here. I'm just going to hold it here. Just like this. I'm going to insert a piece of small brass tubing all the way down. And I'm going to pull this down to be 90 degrees. Just like that. Then I'm going to turn it over. Put my pliers in the loop again. Insert this tubing. Bring it down. Then I'm going to take this and I'm going to take and squeeze this back together just a little bit. I want these to be flat. So you can see they're going up just a little bit. I can take and shape them just a little bit by hand. So when I put it on the table, it's going to sit flat. If they take a little curve like that, just take and hold your pliers on the loop and just bend it back so it's straight. About like that. About like that. And this is going to sit in here just like this. But as you can see here, it's a little bit too long, so we're going to need to trim a couple off the edges here. For that, I'm going to use my long nose pliers with a pair of side cutters here. And I'm going to just take it about 1/8 of an inch off each side, or 1/4 it looks like, so that it will fit in here and not interfere with the cane. So now what we're going to do, we're going to take here, we're going to insert this first piece right here. I'm going to take the second piece, bring it down inside here, insert it, and then we're going to take a small piece of H-cane, run it down between these two. And the only reason we're doing this is we want to make this header across the top stiffer so that it doesn't pull away when we've got the weight of the project hanging on there. Okay, when you get it in there like that, take one of your small pieces here. They should intersect right here at the center of the H-cane. Take that, you take your hanger here, and you pull this open and you slide it in here. Just like that. And then you take this other one here, you set it in here on an angle, and then you pull it down, and that traps your cotter pin in there. So the legs are running underneath this U-cane here, so they can't get out of there. So then you can take a couple small pieces of form wood. I'm just going to push them up here tight. Just like that. And that's how we're going to solder that right there. This little piece right here, I really would like to have that tighter. See how it's going to move up and down here. So let's don't use that one. Push this back out. And we'll cut us another piece just about a 1/8 of an inch longer. So I'm just going to take and hold it in here about an 1/8 of an inch longer. We want to cut down as many gaps as possible so that we can keep it as strong as possible. Also, the width of this cotter pin here also moves it away a little bit, so that we have to allow for. That's much better right there. Now we'll come in here and push that in tight, and we'll take and pin it. Come over on the other side, push it in tight, and we'll pin it. All right, so that looks good. We can take and check it with our square. Be sure we got it square where we want it. That looks good. All these look good. All right, so now when we come back, we'll take and set it up and we'll solder this together, and that'll take care of that part of it. Then we'll come over here on our little 45 and we'll make some 45s, and we'll make the pieces that are going to go in here to create our shelves. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, well, we're back. We got our soldering iron out now. We got it all plugged in. So we're going to get ready to solder this all up now, because this is actually done, other than we're going to finish off the corners here, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. So I'm just going to peel off a 10-12 inches of solder off here. Cut that. And then on my soldering, I'm going to, you probably have watched, if you watch my other videos, I usually take a little stainless steel brush here. I'm just going to come down here and I'm going to get all the joints, make sure these are all pushed down tight. And we'll just solder this up real quick. All right. Have a tinning brush here. My flux, I'm using a Classic 100 gel flux. It's water soluble. So it doesn't have any odor. It doesn't have any smoke to it. So it works out nice to work with it. Just take and flux up each of the joints. All right. Go take and tin my iron just a little bit here. There we go. And it's going to take off about a 1/16 of an inch right off the edge of this. And we'll just go ahead and we'll solder these all up. So soldering just takes a little bit of practice to get this the way you want it. I think I need to clean my soldering iron. It looks like it's having a little trouble melting my solder. Oh, if you have one that sucks in like that, just go ahead and you can just put a little bit more by it. This is our support brace we put in here for our hanger. Get that done right there. All right, take a look at it. Gonna take a little cloth here, wipe that down. And we'll take and we'll turn it over. And we'll take and do the backside. I'll do that offline. We don't need to watch me solder this down. So I'll do that offline, and then when we come back, we'll go ahead and finish off these ends and the bottom, and this part of the project will be done. So we'll be back in a second. All right, so we got it all soldered up here on both sides now. So, excuse me, right here at the top here, we're going to cut this back about 1/4 inch. And we're going to just cut it in here like this. Cut it in here like this, and then we're going to cut this on a point. And we're going to take this point, and we're going to bend it over into this open area right here. So I'll just do that on the edge of my work table. So now we close that gap up so we won't have to use so much solder to get that soldered in there. So we'll do the same thing over here, about 1/4 inch up. Trim it. Trim off to a point. Take it on the side of your table, we'll bend that point over. And now we'll go ahead and we'll solder those up. So we need some way to hold this up. And I'm going to use what they call a drill vise. If you watch any of my other videos, you'll see what we use this all the time to hold these up. If you don't have a drill vise, you can use a couple pieces of 2x4 or something to hold it up with. Drill vices aren't very expensive. You can get them at Harbor Freight, or you can find them online. You can get much smaller ones than this, or a big one like this. I just happen to have this one from years past. So we're just going to flux that up. While we're fluxing it up, we'll go ahead and flux up around our hanger right here too. We'll solder that while we're here too. So we're going to just take this right here. Make sure I'm in the camera here. We're just going to solder it like that. And then here, I'm just going to take a tin, this iron, and I'm just going to set it right in here. And I'm just going to let it flow right off the iron tip, like that. I'm going to take this and I'll turn it around. All right, so we're still working on getting the hanger soldered in here. Take and finish this up right here. Just take and tin this a little bit, stick this in here like that. Let it flow right around there. So that won't be coming out of there anytime soon. Remember, the legs are running back underneath here, so makes it quite strong. All right, that looks good. On this end here, we're going to fill these in right here. I'll just take and come over here. We'll just flux them just a little bit. We can set this up on an angle here. And we'll just take and put a little bit of solder right here. All right, we'll turn it over here. And we'll put a little bit right here. Now I'll take this offline on an 80 grit sandpaper and I'll smooth these all off. I'll take and round the edges a little bit. And this part of the project will be done. So we'll be back in a minute. It'll be all cleaned up and ready to go to get ready to build our little pockets that we're going to put on here. So the pockets will start down here at the bottom. They'll be sitting on a 45 like this to create the area for our succulents to go in here. And so we're going to have one on this side, and then we're going to come up and we're going to go one on the other side, and they'll alternate going up to the top. So it should be a really interesting project. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, we're back now. We got the corners all cleaned up here. So you can see that they look really, really nice on our project. Got our hanger all soldered in here, so it won't be coming out of there. Here's the back side here, or the end of it. So this part of the project is done. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go over here on this little tiny jig here, and we're going to make some triangles here, and I'll show you how we're going to do those. So I'm going to take and drop the camera back down. I had to move it up so high because this is so long, but we'll come down here closer to this now so we can get an idea of how we're going to make these. So we'll be back in a second here. We'll get the camera moved down, and we'll go ahead and we'll cut us some triangles here, and we'll go from there. All right, we're back. So now we're ready to make our triangles for the end of our little shelves that we're going to put our plants in. So the way we're going to do that, we're going to just take our glass and we're going to stick it in here right here. And I said I wanted these to be 1 5/8. So I've got a 1-inch ruler here. I've got a 1/2-inch ruler right here. Plus I have the 1/16 of an inch right here. So that's not quite 1 5/8. So what I've done, I've taken an old saw blade. This is from a hacksaw. And I just taped it on the back of this to move that on out. So the way this is going to work, we'll stick this in here like this. We're going to need 6 of these, because when we cut them in half, that'll give us our 12 pieces. So we're just going to take this right here, cut it down, snap it, and we're going to cut it into a square, just like this. Then what we're going to do, we're going to take our ruler here, and we're going to set it on point to point. And I'm just going to eyeball this. I want to put my cutting wheel right on the point on both of these. And I'm just going to take and cut it. Don't want that to happen. Pull it back up. Going to take my running pliers here, and I'm going to take it, I'm going to snap this. Now that little bobble I made right here, I'm not too concerned about that, because what I'm going to do, I've made a little jig that goes on my grinder, and I'm going to grind these back just enough to make them exactly perfect, and they'll be exactly the same size. I'll show you the jig itself. It's just made out of a couple pieces of glass. Here's what it looks like. It's just a base glass right here. Wipe it off a little bit. Just a base glass. And it's got 2 pieces of glass at a 45 that's been epoxied down here. This is that JB epoxy. We've used that on a couple other projects. So the way this works is that this will set in here like this, and then we'll run it. I have a backstop on my grinder that this will run on, and we'll come across here and we'll straighten this front end all up. See how it's curved right here? We don't really care about that. The reason I added the hacksaw blade on the back here is that to ensure me that it pushes that out in case I don't quite get it perfect. The better the triangles, the better your pockets are going to turn out. So it's somewhat critical. So I'm going to get my wife to come out here real quick, and we'll get her to shoot a real quick video, and I'll show you how this jig works on the grinder. So we'll be right back. All right, I got my wife out here now. So on the grinder here now, I've got a little backstop that I put on here. This is made out of a piece of a drywall metal that they used. The drywall fits inside here. And I just cut a couple of slots in here, and I can slide this back and forth. So our little jig goes right in here like this. I've taken my eye shield off. I've got glasses on, so I've got my eye shield off right now. So don't run these without eye shield, or at least some safety glasses on. You don't want any little flakes of glass flying up. So we'll turn it on, and we're going to take our triangle now, and we're going to push it in here. I've got a little push stick right here, and we're just going to let it go right here. And what that does is that straightens up this edge right here, and that makes us a perfect 45 every time, and they'll be exactly the same size. We won't have a problem with them being different sizes. So you just insert it here against the 45 right here, and you just take and you push it through. Just like that. So from there now, we'll take them over, and we'll wrap them in the RU90 came and solder them up, and then we'll get ready to put them onto our faceplate for our pocket. So here's our tube. They're exactly the same size now. So that's just a little gimmick that works pretty well. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, so we're back to our little V jig here. This is the one that's going to go in here like this, and we're going to line this with our. This is our RU90 came. It's an 1/8 inch across the top here, across the face, and so we're going to need a couple pieces. This is pretty easy to do. We're going to set it in here just like this, and we're going to just mark it right here. And for each triangle, we're going to need 2 of these, this size right here. So I can just take and trim it, get a clean edge. Take it in here and we'll trim it. And then down here at the point right here, we're going to cut these on a 45. Just a little bit of a 45. So when they go together here, you'll get this effect right here. And then our triangle is going to fit in here like this. And now here, we'll cut a 45 on the top here. Just a little tiny one. Just like that. Get these all out of the way. 45, 45. Those will sit in there like that. And then we need a piece to go across the top here. And I'll get another little piece of this. Now I want this to hang over a little bit because I want to be able to finish the edges off. So we're going to leave it hang over. See, this is the edge here. I want it to be beyond that on both sides. So it needs to be about this long right here. And that's going to go in there just like that. Then we'll take a little bit of form wood here. We'll push it down tight. We'll take a couple pins. Just like that. We're going to take and brush it. Take and flux it down. And I'm just going to put a little tin on my iron. Take and solder these down just a little bit. Just like that. We'll take and turn it around. Here again, we'll brush it down a little bit. And we'll solder it up. Just like that. Now, we want this to come out to here when we take care of that. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our dikes on an angle here, and we're going to take and cut these on a little bit of an angle, about like that. See how they're sticking over here on each side? Now I'm going to take this on my sandpaper and I'm going to sand these off so these come to a point. So I'll be back in 1 second here, and we'll show you what it's going to look like when it's done. All right, we're back. So we got it all sanded down now. This little hole that's right here, we're going to fill that up and sand it back down flat. But this is the first part of one of our shelves. So if you can visualize this, this is going to sit in here, and this part is going to go right like this, right here. And there'll be 2 of these, one on each side, and then the face plate will go across that, and it will create the pocket for our succulents. So that's how this is going to go together. So I'll go ahead and make one more of these, and then we'll go ahead and fill them in, and I'll come back and show you how they look. So I'll be back. Okay, so we're back. We got this all taken care of now. So here's our triangles here. This one side here, we can leave it open because it's going to go up against a backstop, so it's not going to be seen. But here's the side that we filled in right here. So we got both of these done. So now we have a perfectly matching pair of these. So that'll become one set for our pocket. So this is what you're looking for. You want them to be exactly the same or as close to it as you can make them, so that when you put them on the faceplate for your pocket will sit square. If it doesn't, it'll be kind of a cocked onto the main piece of this project. So anyway, I'll go offline. I'll make us the rest of these. So we need to make 10 more. So we'll have enough for all 6 of our pockets. And then when we come back, I'll show you how we're going to put these onto the faceplate. And the faceplate will be 3 inches, same width as over here, 3 inches wide by probably about 2 1/4 inches high. We'll figure that out from this tip to this tip right here, how wide we want to make that with the cane, because we'd like to have these kind of come out right at the edge of the cane if possible. So we'll be back in a little while and we'll get these done. All right, we're back now. Now we're going to put the faceplate together for the pockets. As you can see here, we've got all our 45s done. So now we're going to make our faceplate here. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take a couple pieces of RU70 cane in here. Set them in here. We cut them on a 45 like that. We're going to take and slide this piece of glass down. It turned out to be about 2 and just a little bit under 3/8 of an inch to line up with our triangles here. And we'll get another piece here on the top, just like that. Pull this down with our form wood here, and that goes right here. These little guys right here will solder onto these like this. And when I said we need to find out how long to do this, we want these little tips here just to touch the edges of these guys here. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's the area that we are concerned about. That's why we didn't know exactly how long to make these until we made these. So now that we've got these done, we already determined where these go. So after we get this done, just like that, we're going to take and we'll just brush it real quick. And we'll take and we'll flux it up here. And then we'll just take and solder it real quick. Now on these, I'm going to solder just this front side, because the back side is where we're going to put the our 45. So just like that. So this will be the faceplate for them. I'll take and solder in all these corners right here and dress them up. But this side here, I'm not going to solder these, because this is where these are going to fit. These are going to fit in here like this. And that will make our pocket for our 45 here. So that way it'll show you exactly what we're going to do. If we solder these all in here, that'll make these raise up off of here, and I want them to fit. I want them to fit as tight as possible, so we won't be soldering those. So I'll go offline, solder up the other 5 of these, and fill these in. And then when we come back, we'll show you how we're going to put these 45s on, and then we'll show you how we're going to put them onto the main piece, and we'll be done with the project. I'm going to Pantene this project, but our video is running long, so I'm going to probably do that offline. If you're interested in Pantening, if you watch the one on how to do the leaded glass clock for beginners, right at the end of that video, I show a good demonstration on how to Pantene. So if you're interested in it and you're not familiar with Pantening, you can look at that one to get some tips on Pantening. So I'll make these up, and when I come back, we'll get ready to put our 45s on the back side of them, and from there we'll go ahead and mount it onto our base glass. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, well, we're back. You see, we got all of our panels made now, and we've got all our triangles set in here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put the triangles onto the base plate here. And so the way we're going to do that, we'll just move these out of the way here. And we're going to take a set here. And we're going to take this and we're going to leave the arrows pointing up. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to set it in here. I'm going to put this little block of wood right here up like that. And then I'm going to take this on the back side here. And I'm going to push this in tight. Now I had the arrows pointing up. So they're the ones that we're going to take this area that we finished off here. And that's going to be the one that we'll put in here like this so that it'll be on the finished side. And these are going to set right here, just like that. If you can see down here is where the open area is, but that'll be behind the main piece that we put together here. So we're going to take and put it together here. We're just going to take and put a little bit of flux right here and a little bit right there. We're going to take our iron, we're going to tin it just a little bit. This little block of wood, the only reason I have that on there is to help hold that up, and I'm just going to touch this with a little bit of solder right here. Then we're going to come down here and we'll do the same thing right here on the bottom. Just a little joint. Then we're going to take this and we're going to turn it around. And when you turn it around, remember now the top is here. So you don't want to solder your triangle on upside down, otherwise you'll have an opening at the top. So here's the closed end right here. So that's going to go right here like this. Just like that. Put a little flux on it here. Tin your iron. Make sure you got it lined up where you want it. Just a little bit of a seam right there. You don't need a whole lot of solder on that. Okay, and that's it. So now that creates our pocket for our project. And it should sit flat like that so you can see the joints look nice and clean here. You don't have a bunch of any bleed through or so forth on it. So that's how that's going to fit on there. And then we'll push all this stuff out of the way real quick. And we'll bring this in here. And this is where this is going to fit now. Take and pin this down here in the back here. This is going to fit right on here like this. And that will create our first pocket. And we'll solder them right here and right here. In fact, we can do that right now. We'll just take and hold this right here. Solder it here and solder it right there. I'm going to line it up. Bring the camera over here. I'm going to line it up right here on the back side here so that I know that it's straight right along this piece of lead line right here. So I know that it's straight. So when we put all the pockets on here, we'll be sure that we line them up on one of our lead pieces as we go across here. Okay, so we're going to take and we're going to tin our iron again. I'm going to hold this right here. Put it on there. Tin the iron again. Okay, so now we got our pocket all soldered on here. I'll go back in here and solder it inside here one time. And so this is how it's going to look right here. Here's our first pocket on here. So here's where our artificial flowers will go. We'll put some artificial grass in here, and then we'll put our flowers in here. The next panel is going to go up here, and then the last one will go up on this side. And then when we turn this around, the next one will start here and quit here, start here, quit here, start here, and we'll quit up here at the top. So anyway, that'll give you an idea how this is all going to go together. So we'll be back. I'll go ahead and put the rest of these on here, and then when I come back, we'll get ready to clean it all up. We'll go ahead and Pantene it, and we'll put our flowers in it, and we'll be done with it. So we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, we're back. We got all of our little pockets made now, and like I've done on a lot of the things, I've taken my 80 grit sandpaper and I've gone around and I've smoothed out all the edges on these so you can get a look at it so they sit nice and flat like this right here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put on the second pocket, which is going to go right here. It's going to fit right in here. We're going to use these lead lines right here to line them up straight for us so we can see that that's where we want it. And then right here we're going to just hold it in here. Going to take and flux it up just a little bit. Make sure you got it straight and where you want it. We're just going to take our iron. We're just going to tin it just a little bit. Hold it right here. And we'll do a little tack solder right there. Okay. Now if it's a little bit crooked, you can straighten it up here. Okay, make sure it's straight where you want it here. If you want to, you can actually put a square on there. So if you got a mechanical square like this one here, just slide it out here. And you can take and you can push these guys out of the way here. You can take your square, put it in here, and make sure that it's square to here to here. And then we'll take and we'll flux this right here. And we'll take tin or iron, hold it down flat, and we'll make our solder joint right there. Okay, and then here's where the next one will go. We can just do this again. We'll move this up here. Set this in here like this. Move your square up. Make sure it's lined up where you want it. I'm going to take and we'll flux this right here and right there. Take and tint your iron, hold this down nice and tight. Take and spot solder it. Check it, make sure it's straight where you want it. That looks good. Okay, we'll come up here, tin our iron again, push this down, and we'll solder it right here, just like that. So now we've got our 3 pockets on this side. So we've got them all soldered in here. You can take and turn this over, and right in this area right here, if you want to, you can solder that down. I probably will do that. I did that on this bottom one. See here where I soldered these two here, here and here. That just gives it a little more strength. We can do that anytime we want to do that. So if you want to, like for instance, if you want to go ahead and solder these two down here, right here, just take and flux them up. Take your iron and you tin it. And you can just set them right in here. And just take and make a little joint right there. We're going to Pantene though, so a lot of these little joints that you see right here actually kind of disappear when you Pantene. So that makes it pretty nice. If you have one that doesn't look like it's going to go down into the slot here, just raise this up on its edge like that and put it in here. There you go. So, tint your iron. Here again, see if we can get this in where you can see it right here. Just like that. Just make a little seam. And we'll put one more over here. Keep in mind these little pockets, they're not going to hold a lot of weight. So, I mean, they don't have to really be zapped in there. Let me pull this up real close and we'll just show you one right here. We'll see if we can get this in here. There you go. Just want to get a little joint right there. All right, now the next trick is we're going to take this and we're going to turn it over. And the next one now, this one here, it's going to start right here. And that's where it's going to go. So we'll just take and we'll flux it. Make sure it's kind of straight here on our back, on our lead right here. Take and tin your iron. I'm going to hold that in here. I can check it here again with my square if I want to. Looks good and square. Take and tin the iron again, hold it down. Now you notice I'm wearing a glove here because when you're working really close to these little pieces like this, they get hot pretty quick. So you want to kind of have some protection on your hand so you don't burn your hand. All right, so we got the next one here now. That one there's going to go right here. Just set it in here. We're going to flux it here again. Try to keep your iron tip nice and clean so that you get a good solder joint. I'm going to hold this down right here. Just put a little solder joint right here. We'll check it for squareness. That looks good. All right. And then we're going to put the last one right at the top here. This one here is going to go right here. So we'll move this down here a little bit so you can see what we're doing. Here's why I wanted to leave this top a little bit longer. I didn't want this one stopping right here at the top here. I just thought it might give it a little better finished look to it. Whether it does or not, I'm not sure, but we'll tell ourselves it does. I'm going to hold this right here. Spot solder this right here. Okay. Check it with our square. One reason you want to check these with your square to make sure they're straight on here is that that one's a little crooked. Is that you won't notice that they're crooked when you're working with them down here, but when you hang it up, it'll become very obvious that they're crooked. So you want to kind of take care of that before you get it all put together. And we'll put the last solder joint right here. So this creates our whole planter now. We've got 6 pockets. We're going to take and we'll put our artificial grass in them, and we'll take and we'll plant it all up. When I come back, I'll have I'll take it and Pantene it. I'll clean it all up and Pantene it, and then when we come back, I'll have it all stuffed with the artificial grass here, and then our artificial succulents will be in it, and we'll be through with the project. So I hope you've been following along. It's been kind of a fun one to do. Lots of little pieces, so you don't need to be in a hurry when you're working on it. I think it's going to come out really nice for us. So we'll be back in a little while after I get it all cleaned up and Pantened, and we'll finish the project up. All right, we got the project all done now. We've got the artificial grass in it and the artificial succulents in it. We have it outside spinning on the patio. You could put live succulents in it also. They take very little water, and you could just put some potting soil in the pockets, and from there just go ahead and plant it. So anyway, Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I hope you will. And we'll see you on the next video.